This is a plot that I come across online when I was doing a bit of nosing about. Came across as being potentially cheap, so it's just over an acre, an existing bungalow or dormer on, like I said, on a large plot in the middle of Killiney, on the market for 1.5 million quid. And I thought that sounds cheap. What's wrong with it? So obviously I've had a look at the advert. I've done a bit of reading. First thing you notice is there's a big water course running to the north of the site, which will obviously impact planning potential, build costs, sales values due to insurance, and obviously viability of the whole scheme. So didn't take much digging to work out that there's obviously potential issues relating to the planning, not that they are mentioned in the advertisement. Okay, so gone through to the planning portal, just looked over the planning history, and there are two planning applications of particular importance. Okay, so the first one was going back, I think, 2020. A developer has basically ignored all known planning policy and tried to obtain permission to develop 20 apartments on there. So if we could just go back to Google Maps, okay, and we just look at the character of the site. As you can see, predominantly, even though it's high density for two-story units, it is two-story detached, semi-detached and terraced, okay? And it'd be very difficult to design something, even for the best architects, that overcame any potential constraints relating to overlooking and encroaching on people's privacy, okay? So, and obviously the other thing relating to this is obviously parking. If you're going to put 20 units on there, you need to provide parking spaces, and that's not going to be possible with a scheme of such high density. Now, like I said, this is the scheme that they applied for, which was quite rightly refused. And if I think the two reasons that they refused, one was on the basis of the fact that the site straddles flood zones A and B, in which the principle of development is unacceptable. And it was also refused on the back of the fact that it doesn't adhere to planning policy and it's out of character. They're not providing sufficient parking spaces, etc., etc. Lazy application, to be honest with you. I think what they were trying to achieve was there is revised policy which allows developers to build, say, apartments or units of high density in areas which are well served by good local infrastructure and transport links. I don't think that's the case with this site. I think it's still a kilometre away from the closest DART station, and said it doesn't tick those boxes that are necessary to allow them to build in higher density and not provide the necessary infrastructure, i.e. parking spaces, to accompany the scheme. Furthermore, they were looking at a phase 2 down the line as well. So all in all, the application was taking the piss, and it was quite rightly refused by the local authority and by the appeals board. So they've gone away. I'm guessing they've tied this site up on an option, okay, probably a 3, 4, 5 year option, and they've had a second bite of the cherry, okay, and they've come back in with a revised scheme, which is a row of 7 terraced units, all on the south of the site, trying to stay away from that north part of the site, which straddles the water course, okay. So no doubt they were going to look at doing something in the future on the north of the site regardless. Okay, so even though this scheme overcome the issues relating to character and density, and obviously they could provide the correct number of parking spaces, so it did tick a lot of boxes, it was still refused on the back of the fact that they were trying to develop in a flood zone. Okay, so again, this went to appeal, again refused at appeal. Crucially, they were also refused on the back of highways issues, and now I won't get into that, but it looks like they are that's a refusal that can comfortably be overcome with the right scheme. In the reasons for refusal for the second scheme, the planner's report states that development will be unacceptable until a flood relief scheme is completed, okay? And I won't read this word for word, but essentially it says that the flood relief scheme is due to commence in 2024, 2025, which obviously isn't that far away, and the work should be commencing imminently. Now, that might run on a few years after that. Nonetheless, I was looking at this site. If you've got an existing unit of 3,000 square foot, given the sales values in Killiney, it's very unlikely that that would drop below 400 quid a square foot. You've probably got a unit on there that's worth a minimum of 1.2 million quid, okay? As you can see there. Now, what the developers have said is the principle of development of additional units is unacceptable. And that the reason for that is they obviously don't want an intensification of use given the risks associated with the flooding. What they will likely allow is the development of the existing unit. So as you can see, it doesn't, I don't know what it's like inside, but it doesn't seem to be the worst unit in the world. But there's definitely scope for development, okay? Certainly a couple of stories. Or even if you would just put a big extension on it, I think the bottom line is there is room for improvement on this scheme, okay? And you might be looking at spending, I don't know, £250,000 to do so. But the cap on values in Killiney is multiples of 1.52 million quid. You know, there's a lot of units go around there for mad money. So I don't think this would be the worst investment for somebody who was looking for something that they could do in the short term to add value, whilst waiting for the flood relief scheme to go ahead. And all of a sudden, you've purchased a plot for 1.5 million quid. You've added a bit of value, and now you've got the best part of an acre, which is obviously suitable for development of maybe, you know, might be half a dozen units. Who knows, they might overcome the previous reasons for refusal and get something of even higher density on there. But I suppose my point is, in terms of stuff on the market, this isn't the worst buy in the world. Obviously, you need to go away and do more due diligence. I mean, I've looked at this for maybe half an hour. But yeah, if you were looking to get your teeth into something, I would certainly say this isn't the worst bet in the world.